The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
What's up, faithful? What's going on, everyone? How's everybody doing? Happy Friday. Happy Friday. It is your boy, Niner Sickness, coming to you with the N.W.A podcast. I am joined tonight by my boy, Florida Mike himself. We will be hosting tonight's show. I'll be bringing Florida Mike in a minute. So just want to welcome everyone going live here tonight. How's everybody doing? Hope everyone is having a great time. How is everyone doing tonight? With no further ado, let me bring in my boy, Florida Mike, real quick and have him say hello. Hold on, guys. Oops. What's up, Florida Mike? How you doing, brother?
I am doing very good, very good. What's going on, my 49er family? How are you guys?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Representing on a Friday. We're going to be talking a little bit of football, and we'll be discussing a lot of things tonight. Just want to welcome everybody that's popping in real quick. Kathy Sanchez, Tom, Corey, Dina, good evening. Good evening. I am your host, Niner Sickness, with my co-host, Florida Mike, sporting that lovely jersey right there. Let everyone see that beautiful jersey right there with the Florida Mike on it. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let me give a better angle. Hold on, Mike. Give me a second. Let me assign you real quick on here. Why is this not? Hold on. There we go.
Bang, bang, not a game.
There you go. That way everybody can have a nice, take a look at that jersey. Representing from Florida, the red and gold, baby. The true colors
Right on.
of Florida. None of that pewter crap that we're going to be seeing in the Super Bowl tonight. None of that stuff that we're going to be seeing in the Super Bowl tonight on Sunday. The real colors are red and gold. Let me say hi to everybody real quick. Let me bring in Kathy. How you doing, Kathy? Let me adjust this real quick. Hold on, guys. I had an issue where I apologize ahead of time. I had an issue where my computer locked itself where I couldn't get in, so I had to reboot the whole computer, and I lost all my data. I got to learn how to back stuff up, man. I lost everything that I created. I lost, so I had to redo everything all over again. So it was a pain in the butt, but got to stay positive, man. There's nothing I could have done. So what's up, Tom? Good evening. Corey, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Dina, good evening, Beto and Niner family. How you doing, girl? Tom says, hey, Florida Mike.
May, what's going on, Tom? Hey, big shout out to Tom. I think me and Tom are brothers. I really do. Tom is pretty much very similar to me. We both have a disdain for teams. I know people think that we just hate everybody, but reality is we don't like a lot of people. And I agree with Tom. I stand with Tom 114%. I don't like Tampa Bay, and I definitely don't like the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm probably going to go as far as to say I'm not watching Super Bowl.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's see here real quick. Dina Harvey says hello. It says you have a sharp jersey.
Thank you. Courtesy of my brothers on this panel, man, they hooked me up, and I appreciate that. Um, it was a pleasant surprise. So yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I had to get the break out the Florida Mike. Got the Florida Mike logo with the 49er patch. You can see down here, got the 49ers on the side. And if you don't know, gold, red and gold is my favorite color. So you know, I had to get this gold. I wish the Niners would wear gold in the jerseys. That would be so awesome. So cold to wear gold.
Wouldn't it? Got
Yeah, I
it.
mean we are red and gold. I would like to see the jerseys be gold, like this color right here with the 49ers. Imagine if you seen Deshaun Watson and George Kittle with this on. That'd be sweet. But
Oh,
yeah.
oh. Spread.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to all the fans that's tuning in, like all of you guys. Corey, much love to Corey. Corey be hitting me up on Messenger, man. So it's always good to hear from you, Corey. Tom, I love you, man, and I appreciate your support on my Facebook with my real estate. I be seeing you, appreciate you. Got to show love to Dina, Kathy, Don. You know, uh, it's just so much. It's so many fans out there. So we appreciate you. Appreciate you all,
Can't forget
guys.
Jayla and Ariel, bro, the youngest fans in the
Jalen,
house.
Ariel for sure. Got the little ones. Uh, so yeah, big shout out to all our fans that's chiming in tonight. Nice Golden. Big shout out to Nice Golden. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, and I gotta do my shout out to the Orlando, Florida chapter, the Germany Niner chapter, the Britain Niner chapter, because I'm on their Facebook. They love me to be on their page. Appreciate you guys. The California fans, of course, you guys are the hometown, and we riding with you. And all Niner fans worldwide, even the alien Niner fans out in the universe. I know you watching us too, so we appreciate you showing the Niners love up there in space.
That's right. That's right. Give me a second, real quick. Let's see here.
For the record, a lot of people might want to know why I don't like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or Kansas City. It's obvious why I don't like Kansas City. I mean, you saw the Super Bowl last year. That missed blown call really pissed me off by the refs, but that's neither here nor there. And the missed blown call I'm referring to is the touchdown that was not a crossing of the line. You can look it up on the internet and see what I'm talking about. If you don't know, I'll present it to you. Um, and Tampa Bay, I don't I don't have a huge disdain for Tampa Bay, but I don't like them because I'm close proximity, and I feel like a lot of their fans comes out of the woodwork now that Tom Brady's here. I've never seen I've seen more Niner fans when I went to the Niner and Tampa Bay game. Damn near just as many Niner fans than I have Bucks fans. So the Succaneers, I'm sorry, we have kids. The Buccaneers, um, I'm not a fan of. I remember when I went to the Niners and Bucks game when they had Colin Kaepernick playing, and I sat in the Tampa Bay side. You know what I mean? And it was funny because like this guy who was a Florida State fan, me and him both like FSU in college. I had on a Florida State jersey with the San Francisco hat, and he's like, "Why are you not rooting for Tampa Bay? You live in Florida. You should be rooting for the Bucks." And I'm like, I don't think NFL team fans are based upon geographic location. Last time I checked, Hawaii doesn't have an NFL team, but I'm pretty sure a lot of Hawaiians root for San Francisco. So, yeah, Florida has three teams, but I've been a 49er fan before I lived in the state of Florida. That's a fact. So, I don't think that changes based upon where I live. And besides, the fact that I live in Florida and I root for a team 3,000 miles away from me shows that I'm a real fan. I could be like in Tampa Bay. They went to the Super Bowl, but nah, I've been a Niner fan. It's in my blood. I was born a Niner fan. I was born to hate the Dallas Cowboys, and I will be a Niner fan. And when I pass away, I would like to wear this jersey when I go to Niner heaven. So, bang bang Niner game.
A lot of people are in agreement with you, Mike. They're not watching the Super Bowl either. They're gonna, I believe Dino or someone said they'd rather watch a Three Stooges than watch the Super Bowl. So they're with
Larry,
you.
Curly, and Mo. Let's get it. Woo, woo,
Now,
woo, 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 woo.
now myself, I'll be watching the game. I love Super Bowls. I prefer when my team's in it, of course. Always prefer that, but I'll definitely be watching the game. I'm not rooting for either team at this point. It doesn't matter who wins, whether it's the Chiefs or the Bucks. Now I do know that the Chiefs are going to be without their two top tackles. They are out for the Super Bowl. So those defensive linemen of the Buccaneers are going to be chomping at their bit, knowing that the tackles of Kansas City are out and are not available for the game. So we're going to see if Patrick Mahomes will be enough and Kelsey and Hill will be enough to carry that team with for a victory at the end of the day. Because missing your two tackles, bro, that's tough, especially when you're facing an aggressive defense like Tampa coming at you. So we'll see what happens, but I'll be watching it just for the commercials.
I'm going to put a theory out there. And before I get into my rant, we got a lot to talk about, Beto. An hour is just not enough time, but I know we keep it short. Um, I'm going to put a theory out there, and I'd love to hear what our fans think. And let's go to the comments. Let's keep our fans involved because our fans, you guys mean everything to us, guys. So we're coming to you. Your comments, please keep them coming because we're going to be discussing with the fans and interacting as we talk about our topic. So fans, keep chiming in, and we're going to do our best to get to you. Um, a lot of people wonder, is the Super Bowl really rigged this year, considering that it's Tom Brady, is older. They want to put him on this 7 Super Bowl record. It's in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay ironically makes it. You know, a lot of people the you just said the Chiefs are missing 2 of their old linemen all of a sudden. Some people are wondering, there's little talks going around because let me say this. It just seems ironic that Tampa Bay gets the Super Bowl and then they make it when Tom Brady comes there, right?
Uh huh.
And I don't know what, you know, why the Bucks this year. I can't say, and I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. I'm just wondering what are the fans take, because this is stuff I've been hearing living down here. Some people are really believing that this is a setup, man. Like either it's a setup for the Bucks to win because they want to give Brady this unbeatable record of 7 rings, or they want Mahomes to take the torch from Brady so he can be the man and beat him in Tampa Bay, so it'll make him catapult. Do you think that there's any validity to it, fans? I'm asking the fans, all the fans. I would love to know, do you think there's any validity to this rumor about the Super Bowl possibly being rigged for the Chiefs and the Bucks to be in the Super Bowl? Because Tampa Bay is the first team to host the Super Bowl, correct?
Yes, first team ever to host
Yeah,
and play in it.
and play it. Yeah, host and play it, and that comes when Tom Brady gets there. So
That's kind of. I hear where you're coming from, but that's kind of
it's not me. I'm telling you what I hear. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like I hear people saying that. So I was just wondering, what do the fans think? Do you guys believe that there's possibility that there's some, I don't know, some things going on where they're trying to hype up Brady to winning 7? No quarterback's won as many as he has, and if he gets 7, he'll have the most in the NFL as well. That'll be like this GOAT topic that they're trying to put on him.
uh, yeah, it's an interesting question, and I would love to see what the viewers' take on that is. Mike, I hear what you're saying. Tom Brady goes to Tampa. Tampa's hosting the Super Bowl this year, and they make it. Now, if you're talking about that Bucks and Packer game, I can ideally see where you're coming from, but the the Bucks had to win games in order for them to get to the playoffs, and the ref or the NFL really had nothing to do with that. Um, I don't know. It just I hear your conspiracy, but it's just too many things, too many moving pieces to make it happen like that. But now, if you're referring to that Packer game, strictly that championship game, then I can see where it can take place where they could have kind of leaned a little bit more towards because they weren't calling no PIs at all during the whole game against the Packers, and suddenly on the fourth quarter they decided to call one on the Packers, which gave the Bucks a first down. So I can see your conspiracy there a little bit, but for the whole season getting there, I don't know. It's kind of, but I hear you. I hear you.
Well, I bring that up because the stuff that I've been hearing rumblings talk about, and I mean, let's be honest. Tom Brady, for his career, has had moments where he's been accused of cheating.
Oh yeah.
So I think a lot of that has to do with that because you know this guy comes here as the like an elderly quarterback by quarterback years, and as soon as he gets to the Bucks, they're in the Super Bowl, and it's just people are saying they're trying to catapult his status to where he can't be touched ever. They want to make him this like a Greek figure. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just saying it's what some people are saying, and I just wanted to hear the fans' take on that. But yeah, while the fans are reacting to that, I'm going to get on something that I'm getting off my chest. I think I've discussed this briefly, but I'm just going to hit it and I'm going to be done with it. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to get called a 49er homer or, people going to say all kind of stuff, but that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. So I'm going to tell you some things that I feel that it's hard to argue why Tom Brady is the greatest of all time in terms of people that support that. I don't believe it. I don't believe Tom Brady's the GOAT.
Okay.
I don't. And I'll give reasons why. Okay. Now, this is a 49er podcast show, but Joe Montana, and Tom Brady has been a lot of the talk, right? When you're talking about GOATs and everything like that, most people will consider those top two in the echelon. So I'm going to give you my reasons why I will say Tom Brady is not the greatest of all time. Now, people can say whatever they want, like I said, but after I speak, listen first and then react before you react. And this is for the Brady lovers. All right, let's get into it. Joe Montana, Tom Brady. If we're only talking about those two, because I believe Dan Marino should be in the conversation. That's just me. If we're talking about Joe Montana and Tom Brady, it's simple. Joe Montana when they talk about rings, Joe Montana has 4, Tom Brady has 6. Joe Montana is undefeated, Tom Brady lost to a backup quarterback, and Eli Manning twice. I mean, yeah, 6 is greater than 4, but undefeated is better than 6-3, whatever he is, right? So percentage-wise, Joe Montana's perfect. Montana never threw an interception in the Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure Tom Brady has. And hell, Tom Brady lost to a backup quarterback. Hard to be the GOAT when you lose to a backup quarterback. I don't care how great his offensive performance was. He lost to a backup quarterback in the Eagles. So I don't believe rings make you the great. And I'm going to tell you why. It's a team accolade. Dan Marino has 0 rings, and is he not one of the best quarterbacks to do it? I would dare somebody say he's not. He is. Tom Brady has the benefit of playing in a league that in the early 2000s, they changed a lot of rules to where you can two-hand touch quarterbacks now. You can't hit quarterbacks like you did in Montana's day. If Joe Montana had the rules that Tom Brady had in his era, he would have had a longer career, and therefore he would have been able to sustain a Super Bowl status much longer than Tom Brady. Here, how do I know that? It's simple. Joe Montana got 4 Super Bowls in less than 10 years. It took Tom Brady 20 years to get 6. So when you look at the per capita of years that these guys played, Tom Brady had twice the career that Joe Montana has as far as longevity and only has 2 more Super Bowls than him. I mean, Joe Montana got 4 in less than 10 years, less than 8. I mean, really, it wasn't even a full 10. You know what I mean? So he reached 4, 81, 84, 88, 89. So not even a full 10 years. You want to be real about it. But it took Brady damn near 20 years to get 6. So I don't base my argument on rings. I base it on this. If you're not the best quarterback in your era, I don't see how you can be the best of all time. I don't even believe Tom Brady's the best quarterback in the NFL. I believe he's one of the most accomplished, polished, successful quarterbacks in the NFL in his era, sure. But I don't know that he's better than Aaron Rodgers. I don't know that he's better than Peyton Manning. I don't know that he's better than Drew Brees. I mean, these guys might not have 6 Super Bowls, but when you're talking about what a quarterback does for their team, I don't know that he's the best in his era. So to say he's the greatest of all time when he has the benefit of rules along with these quarterbacks today's era, they have rules that allows your career to be lengthened by longevity. Joe Montana had to deal with the 85 Bears. Joe Montana had to deal with New York Giants. You don't get hit by these guys and get up. You know, Tom Brady would have been successful, but he would not have lasted for 20 years. Period. With the rules of Montana's era, it wouldn't have happened. So people take that how they want to take it. Because of those reasons, I feel that, in my humble opinion, you can talk about Joe Montana or Dan Marino being the GOAT. That's just me.
No, you're making you make a lot of valid points. Like a lot of people don't
Hold
talk.
on. And one more thing, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Not to mention, Tom Brady has never had a backup like Steve Young push him for a starter position. So not only did Montana have to perform on the field, he had to perform in probably practices and all of that because he has Steve Young, a Hall of Famer, as his backup, competing and pushing him in a starting position. That's tough. When you internally, your job is not safe, and then you got to go out there and perform on the field. And not to mention, Tom Brady had, and this is not to down Tom Brady. Listen, Tom Brady's a great quarterback. I'm not saying he's not a great quarterback. I'm just saying I don't believe he's the greatest of all time. No. Based on what? 6 rings? Kudos to his team for winning 6 rings. You know, Tom Brady had the weakest division in football for the last 20 years. Who competed in the AFC East since he got to the Patriots? How many teams have came out in the AFC East? I mean, you tell me. How many times have the damn Jets done anything? The Jets ain't been nothing since the West Side Story. That's an old school joke. The Dolphins have probably had maybe 1-2 years at max in 20 years that they made the playoffs. They get their little season occasional win against New England, but they get to the postseason, they done nothing. And the Bills, what more do I need to say? Before last year, the Bills did nothing for the most part. They have been non-existent. So I'm just saying San Francisco had a different situation, different set of rules, and I feel that Joe Montana did not get the longevity benefit with these rule changes, period. It's that simple. So, people are going to argue and say whatever they want to say, but cool Joe, 4-time Super Bowl champ in less than 10 years, and Bill Walsh, that innovator of West Coast offense, we revolutionized the game, the impact that Joe Montana had. Let me tell all you little Brady fans something. I know before Tom Brady came in the league, when you my era or older, who was you playing with on Tecmo Bowl, on Nintendo? Yeah, remember that, because you was up there riding with Joe Montana just like Tom Brady was when he was a kid. Remember that. You know Joe Montana's the dude. All right, I'm done, man. I had to represent for my 49ers.
No worries, bro. Real quick, I'm being asked by Javier Rios that there's no audio coming in. I just want to make sure, are we affecting everybody with no audio, or is it just Javier they can't hear? So everybody, do me a favor on the comments. Can you type if you guys can hear us or not before we go forward? Because we want to make sure that all our content gets out to you guys. Can you guys hear us okay, or are we not coming through? Well, if you can't hear me, you're not going to be able to respond to my message anyway. So, but let's see. Tom says I can hear. Okay. I agree. Okay. So if Don agrees with you, he can hear you. She can hear you. So
that's right, Don. I appreciate you.
Okay, so Javier, I strongly suggest for you to leave the show and come back. You probably have a bad connection because you're the only one they can't hear. Everyone here is fine. Thank you everybody for bringing that. I appreciate you guys. You make valid points, Mike, and I hear your kind of your frustration a little bit there. Um, I know a lot of people categorize Tom Brady as the GOAT based on the rings alone. And not to take away from Tom Brady, he has accomplished a lot. It is not easy to get to 9 Super Bowls and win 6. Now actually getting to 10 Super Bowls with a different team, that within itself is an accomplishment. So not taking that away
Well,
from
let me
Tom.
say this. I'm gonna tell you the problem with the ring argument, and I know people talk about rings, right? If you value strictly rings, if that is your primary basis of greatness, then why the hell are these same fans who, after they watch this Michael Jordan episodes or whatever, why are they not saying Bill Russell's the greatest? He has more rings than Mike.
Come on now.
I mean, listen, Bill Russell has what, 11 rings?
Yep.
The man has 11 rings, but yet none of you Brady lovers are saying Bill Russell's the best in the NBA when it comes to rings. Why is there the double standard? Why is it rings matter with Tom Brady, but rings don't matter when it comes to Michael Jordan and Bill Russell? It makes no sense. So let's stop using rings. Rings are team accolades. Robert Ory has more rings than Michael Jordan. Are you really going to say he's better than Michael Jordan because he has more rings? It's a silly argument. Let's stick to the presence of these guys and the contributions that they have the ability to win individually. You know what I mean? I gave my reasons, and I will take the criticism from all of these new age NFL fans who believe this era of football, the longevity that they're allowed to play because there's two hand touch when it comes to quarterback. I will take the criticism. And I don't know if this podcast one day will ever make the big show networks that are out there, but any of you network people on ESPN, if you think, I don't watch you, but if you think this Brady guy and all the stuff that he's been associated with cheating and all that is the best of all time, please have Florida Mike come on your show. I will wreck any one of you. And I will represent for the 49er faithful. And I will destroy you. I don't need a script like you do. I'm not arrogant, but I'm a passionate 49er fan. And when I have one of my guys that's considered the GOAT being degraded and disrespected by these new age football fans who don't appreciate the battles that we went through with these Dallas Cowboys and the Chicago Bears, the New York Giants, when we're playing that type of teams, you're not gonna disrespect my team, my quarterback. You're not gonna do that. So I will always take up for my 49er faithful, man. This ain't no homer stuff, man. This is just being a real football fan, bro. I grew up on this, man.
To
All right, I'm good.
to your point about rings, a lot of people, and this is where people may agree or disagree with me, and that's fine. You guys are entitled. A little bit away from football. A lot of people believe that Michael Jordan is the GOAT or better.
Sure.
Let me tell
Sure.
you, LeBron James, in my opinion, is a better player than Michael Jordan. And a lot of you right now just blew your minds with that statement. But I stand, and I can back it up, why LeBron James is a better player than Michael Jordan, even though Michael Jordan has more rings. So to your point, it's not just the rings that makes a player great. It's the individual accolades they conduct during their career, how they elevate their players, how they elevate players around them, and how they perform individually that makes them great. Not necessarily the rings. The rings or titles are a team accomplishment. What a player does Uh, Roberto, with all due respect, I know what you're trying to get at, but if you can refrain from using that last word, um, we don't like to use that N word in here, and I know you're referring to as what's up, but if we can refrain from using that word, I would truly appreciate it, brother. So back to where I was getting at. So a lot of people think that Michael Jordan is that, but you got to look at the individual play. Right, Mike? I mean, a lot of people think that Michael Jordan is because of the hardware that he has that he's better. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, when we're talking about basketball, it's different than comparing to football. I only brought up basketball because of the rings. Even though the rules have adjusted in the NBA, um, you know, it's not like the NFL, in my humble opinion. But when it comes to LeBron and Michael Jordan, getting off subject, and I'm cool with talking about that. I know this is a Niners show. We'll get it back to the Niners real quick. But if you're asking my humble opinion, um, I think you can always look at LeBron, Michael Jordan, Kareem, those type of guys. It's never going to be a great, clear defined great, because you have people that were born in the Jordan era that didn't see Kareem in his prime when he was Lou Alcindor and transitioned to Kareem, the same man that outlawed dunking in college basketball, the same man that has the most scoring points in NBA history. These people didn't see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in his prime. So for someone who grew up in Michael Jordan and LeBron era, they're not going to appreciate what Kareem has contributed. Now, when it comes to saying Michael Jordan is the best, there's arguments, man. Like a lot of Jordan fans are going to say that because keep in mind, in my generation, when we grew up, Michael Jordan was so marketed that it's got to be the shoes. Sometime I dream, be like Mike, the Gatorade commercials. You had all of this stuff that marketed you as a kid to the point to where you felt like he was the greatest. If Kareem would have had that marketing, it might have been different. But the reality is, Michael Jordan, um, as great as he was for his era, the reality is, if you're talking about a complete basketball player, there's a lot of outside of free throws and steals, category wise, I don't think he rebounds better than LeBron. I don't think scoring is almost about the same. Michael Jordan might have 4 more points per game than him, but LeBron takes way less shot attempts than Jordan ever did. And LeBron's getting like triple double. So it's two different games. Like Jordan and Kobe are more comparable than Jordan and LeBron, in my humble opinion. But everyone will have their own GOAT, man. You know what I mean? I personally think overall basketball player, LeBron is something I've never seen. So as far as a complete player, you know what I mean? LeBron to me has that title. As far as a complete overall basketball player, meaning he does everything well. You know what I mean? Jordan, as far as a strict shooting guard, if you're only talking about shooting guards, definitely one of the best to do it. So it depends on what you value. I would definitely say LeBron is the most complete player that I've ever seen in my lifetime, who can dribble, rebound, pass, shoot, do all of that. So that's something to say. You know what I mean? Jordan had a problem guarding bigger guards. If you look at his playoff games when they had like Penny Hardaway, Magic Johnson, Scottie Pippen was the guy guarding all of those guys. People want to act like that didn't happen, but Scottie Pippen really took a lot of pressure off Jordan.
Yes,
LeBron, on the
sir.
other hand, guard a point guard, a center, anybody, and that's because he's built differently, and
Yep.
that's understandable. So, got to keep all that in consideration. I mean, here's a fact that a lot of people don't know, and I'll get off this because this is a Niners show. I know we're talking about another sport, but if you want to be honest about it, Michael Jordan in his championship games never faced a super team like LeBron. I know it's a different business today, so it's hard to compare, but the reality is, man, Utah Jazz was the lowest scoring NBA Finals team. They scored 54 points in one game. You know what I mean? In a championship game, 54. I LeBron had 51 against the super team Warriors by himself, bro. You get what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like LeBron put up 51 against the super team Warriors,
Come on.
but Utah scored 54 for their whole team in a championship game against Chicago. So when you talk about greatness, Jordan didn't really have to play against a super team, bro. If he played against the Warriors or those Spurs, you look at the teams LeBron played against in the finals. I don't know Jordan goes 6-0, man. I think he'll still be great. He'll be dominating, but I don't know he wins every single final, man. I don't know that. It would be hard, bro. But that's just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, and again, we all have our, we all have our players that we like and dislike, and we
Hmm.
have our opinions, and that's all good. But getting back to football, um,
Yeah.
getting back to football, for this is a football game. So, um, and I'm the one that took it to the NBA. But getting back, listen, a lot of you guys want Deshaun Watson. We talked about Deshaun Watson coming to the Niners possibly. I like him as a player. I think Deshaun Watson is an elite quarterback, a top 5 quarterback. Now, with that said, and this is just me, as much as I like Deshaun Watson, I think personally we just have too many holes to fill on our team. Now, would I be opposed to getting Watson? No. If they make a trade for Watson, I'm for it. But I just think the Niners have too many holes on defense and offense. Listen, we have 40 players that are free agents. Not all 40 are going to come back. We are going to have to address those parting ways with the Niners. We're going to have to replenish that secondary. We need another pass rusher. We haven't gotten the output that we wanted from D Ford. Unfortunately, because of his disability, he has been a little bit of a disappointment because of his disability. We need another pass rusher. We need another corner. Whether we sign Jason Verrett or not, we need to we need a safety. They can turn the ball over. They can get the ball over for us and have the offense turn the ball over. There's just so many needs. I am willing to ride one more year, honestly, with Jimmy Garoppolo. The take, and I want to get my thoughts on this. The take on Jimmy Garoppolo is his health. No one can argue that when Jimmy is healthy, the Niners can win games with Jimmy. The Niners can make the playoffs. The Niners can make the Super Bowl. He has already done that in 2019. When healthy, Jimmy can win games. I know the frustration is the health overall of Jimmy. I understand that's a concern. But I think we should ride with Jimmy. We should draft another pass rusher, another corner, and build also that offensive line. I've been hearing today. I heard that Mac, the center from Atlanta, has a mutual interest in coming to the Niners and playing for his old coach, Kyle Shanahan. I think that'll be a great addition to our offensive line at center. It'd definitely be an upgrade of what we have now. And I think if we can just get that offensive line going, build that defense up again, I believe that Jimmy can get us to where we need to go if he stays healthy. The problem is, and the concern that everybody has, is his availability. Can he stay healthy? I want to get your thoughts on. I understand, Mike, that you love Watson. I understand you want Watson, but I want to get your thoughts on Jimmy. If Jimmy can stay healthy, how far do you think we can go in 2021 with Jimmy?
Before I respond to that, I'm going to say this. I want everybody to understand before I say what I say, I have no problem with Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's a good quarterback, and I'm very thankful for what he has contributed to the San Francisco 49ers. I understand that we want a better quarterback, but we have to be honest. You tell me, but since the Colin Kaepernick, Alex Smith, we haven't really had a good quarterback.
An elite
Um,
quarterback, yeah.
yeah, and you want to be honest about it, since Steve Young, we hadn't had one really that, well, I can't say that. Kaepernick / Smith season, they did take us to a Super Bowl. But you want to be honest about it. Outside of that small window, we haven't had a really good quarterback in over a decade. And Jimmy Garoppolo has been the guy that has helped resurrect this franchise in addition to the small window that Harbaugh was here. So I want to make it clear that I do not have a problem with Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm not going to complain about this man like some people do, because I'm thankful that we have Garoppolo as opposed to what we've had in the past and in our franchise, after Garcia. Okay. So I'm appreciative of that. Now, I'm going to answer your question. I have a different perspective, my brother Beto, than you do. Okay. Here's my thing. When you have a top 5 quarterback that's available in the league, in the NFL, which is not going to, I mean, how many top 5 quarterbacks have you seen available
Not very
to
often.
be open?
Not very
Right. They're
often.
always franchised. They're going to stay with their team. This is a top 5 quarterback. When you have a shot to get a top 5 quarterback, you do everything in your power to get them. And I'm going to tell you why. I don't care about the corners right now. I don't care about anything on defense right now. I care about Deshaun Watson coming to our team, and we have enough offensive firepower. I believe our defense will be solid enough to be able to sustain a few drives needed to win, and our offense will take us home. That is what I believe. I believe that we can build our defense back up slowly. Having Deshaun here for the next 10 years, we'll be fine. I'm looking at this. If Garoppolo is going to be around for a year and he's older and he's injury prone, and let's just say he comes back next season if we had him and he had this phenomenal year again. My concern with Garoppolo is not just his injury, it's also his limitations that he has. And the fact that he's not even in the considered the top 10 quarterbacks in the league, he's right outside the cusp. He's a good quarterback, but not an elite one. And I'm saying in today's game, especially, it does not hurt to have an elite quarterback with Kyle Shanahan. You pair Kyle Shanahan up with an elite quarterback, the NFL got to watch out. If we don't get Deshaun Watson and we have Jimmy G, I'm not going to be upset. I mean, but at the same time, if you ask me who I'd rather have, and if we're worried about what we're giving up as far as capital, hey man, look at the longevity. We will have Deshaun Watson for the rest of his career, pretty much. How long do you think it will take us to build that defense up? It won't take us 10 years. We're not the Rams where we don't have a first round pick since I don't know when. We'll have a first round pick just in a few more years. So Deshaun Watson will be an instant upgrade. Deshaun Watson damn near had one of the best quarterback seasons with the horrible Texas team that gave away their best receiver and was missing their other best receiver, the guy Fuller, because he can't stay healthy. And he still was out there killing. Imagine what he'll do with the best tight end in football. A great rookie at wide receiver who had it coming off a rookie year. A healthy Deebo Samuel. I mean, listen, if we don't get Deshaun Watson, that's the difference between winning the Super Bowl. Had we had Deshaun Watson on that team, do we lose to the Chiefs? I'm going to make it simple.
Okay, let me just interrupt you for a second. I see you're very adamant about getting Deshaun, and I hear you. He is a top 5 quarterback that they're not available. An elite quarterback like Deshaun Watson is not norm that they are available. They're normally tied up in a huge contract or their franchise tag. You just don't hear a quarterback like that available. Now, you said the Niners should do whatever it takes to get him. Now, let's keep it real. If we do get him, it's going to cost the Niners not just capital. It will cost players. I want to ask you, Mike, Florida Mike, is this. If they take 2 players, and the players that I'm going to name, they're all going to be available. In other words, we get Deshaun Watson, Texans get our 2 number ones and 2 players, okay? These are the players that I'm going to name, and they're all available to be picked by the Texans if they want them. Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Bosa, and Fred Warner. If all those players are available, and the Texans will take 2 of those players that I named, would you still willing to do that trade and to bring in a caliber player like Watson to the Niners?
Well, considering that we just paid George Kittle and made him the highest tight end, hell no. Considering that,
but you want Watson though. Would you be willing to give up a player like that for Watson?
Listen, if Deshaun comes here, the intent in bringing him here is to win right away or have a shot. You don't leave you just made George Kittle the highest paid tight end. You don't trade him away and lose that target. He'll be walking into a situation where they just gave their top receiving threat from Texas to the Cardinals. We'd be doing similar with a little bit more weaponry than the Texans. I wouldn't do that to him. I would say, listen, Texas, I will give you more draft capital, and you can have one of the players, either Nick Bosa, preferably, I'm gonna be honest. Last week's show, I said I would like to keep Nick Bosa, and I still want to keep Nick Bosa if possible, and maybe try to figure out a way to get some capital or leverage to where we can do all of that and get Nick. My ideal dream would be to keep Nick Bosa for one more year with Deshaun Watson, and then let Nick Bosa walk when he's asking for a big extension, because we're not going to be able to contract wise afford Nick Bosa. Our tackle, Deshaun, if he comes, that's too much money being going around. Kittle's being paid the highest tight end, and then you got guys coming up that are going to have a payday as well. So I would like to use Nick Bosa for one more year and then let him walk. However, if the Texans are demanding two, like a Warner and a Bosa combo, that's not happening, because then you're basically putting we just drafted these guys. We're not going to give our core up like that. So yes, do I want Watson? Absolutely. Do I think that we need to trade our core defense to get him? No. I think we can trade Nick Bosa and some top draft capital picks, and that will be enough. They can pair Bosa over there with Watt. They'll have enough draft capital to where they
Watt's not going to be there. He's leaving.
Can rebrand it. Sean has a no trade clause to where he has to want to contribute and play to a team of his liking. So it might force the Texans to say, okay, we have to get rid of him and give up something. And at the end of the day, they're not in a position to try to take all our core defense, because they don't have a lot of draft capital anyway. So if I'm going to bring Deshaun in as a Niner organization, I want him to have all the offensive weapons, because we're going to take a backseat on defense. That's the whole point. Give up your best defensive player with the contract that's due, which more than likely will put Nick Bosa in that candidacy. I know a lot of Niner fans don't want to hear that, but the reality is his contract is going to be a hefty one very soon. And as Boston Hader pointed out on this show, which is a valid point, it's hard to argue that from a business perspective, Nick Bosa would be the best candidate from the defensive side of the ball to let go. I'm not giving anything offensively, so you can scratch offensively off the list. It will have to be a defensive situation. They're already getting draft picks. They don't need none of my top. They don't need the top tight end in football. That's going to be a weapon that Deshaun needs. That's the whole point.
Okay, so I just want to make sure we're clear on this. You want Watson, but you don't want him at all costs.
I want him at a reasonable mutual cost.
Okay, but let's say the Texans want George Kittle, regardless of how much he can help Watson or not. If they're willing to take just George Kittle off our hands and trade, you wouldn't do it. Because it's not up to what we want, it's up to what they want.
I'm not going to say I wouldn't do it. I'm just saying I would prefer to keep Kittle and get Bosa, let Bosa go.
Well,
but would I do it? I'm not going to say I wouldn't do it. I would. It's just not my ideal preference. I want him to have. I know that if we get rid of Kittle, the thing is, here's this: no player is expendable outside of the quarterback, a top five, the top five quarterback. Yes. And I'm going to tell you why. Niner fans might not want to hear this, but once again, from a business perspective, George Kittle. If you're telling me about, okay, let me make sure I'm understanding this, because your original question was about two players. Mm-hmm. Are you only saying one player, just George Kittle and the pick and the capital?
Yes.
Okay. I was under the impression you were talking about two players.
They want two players, but let's say they said that we don't want to give up two players. We're only willing to give up one. And they're saying, okay, well, if you don't want to give us two, then we want Kittle.
Okay, yes, I would do it.
Okay.
Yes, I would. If it's just one, I would give up George Kittle. Absolutely.
Okay.
And the reason being is, as much as I love George Kittle, I understand that his type of playing style, he's injury prone to an extent. He misses key games in the season. For me, if I'm gonna have Deshaun Watson will do more than enough to make up for that loss. It's not ideal. It's not what I would want, But I understand if that's what they want and that's what it takes to get him. Yes, I will trade George Kittle for Deshaun Watson with some draft capital. Absolutely. And I will make up for that in free agency or whatever. You know what I mean? We got George Kittle in the 5th round. I know there's not a lot of George Kittles in the 5th round. That's a gem, but I'm sure we can find a quality tight end who can at least do enough to help, be a threat. And I'm okay with that. I will do as much as I can without giving 2 key players away to get Deshaun Watson.
Okay,
Yes.
now this is a great discussion, and this is again, it's the off season. There's so much we can talk about the Niners. So these are the questions that I'm going to ask you, Mike, and I want to get your response. Let's say I'm the Texans, and you're John Lynch, okay? And I'm like, okay, you don't. Let's say you stand for him. You don't want to give up players. You just don't want to give up players. You're very adamant. Just as an example, you're saying, I want Watson, but I don't want to give players. So I come to you and say, fine. You don't want to give me no players? Fine. I want 4 number ones for Deshaun and no players. What's your response?
Hell yeah, I'll do it. Hell yeah, I'll do it.
Okay.
His jersey's number 4. I'll give him 4 ones. Go ahead. I don't have to have my 1st round. When I have a top 5 franchise great quarterback that's going to be around for 10 years, you can have 4 number ones. I don't care. I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? I'm going to ask people this because I know that's a hot topic. People, 49er fans and football fans in general of their team, they are attached to players because they like these guys, right?
Yes.
But let's be honest. The same fans that are saying they would not trade Nick Bosa or would not trade George Kittle are the same fans that said they would not want to get rid of DeForest Buckner.
True.
But because we got rid of DeForest Buckner, we have a guy like Javon Kinlaw. We have the money and the most cap in the NFC West right now because of that. And we're in a position to get a top 5 QB. The reason why we have the most cap is because we didn't spend it all on D-Buck. If you have to give up George Kittle to acquire Deshaun Watson, you can get tight ends. New England has shown it. Let me tell you guys this. I hate New England with a passion. But anybody saying that any player on this team is not worth Deshaun Watson, I mean, just talking about one player and a multiple trades, picks, New England Patriots have given up Randy Moss, have given up the guy on the defense, Jones, and they've given up multiple players, and they've taken in and replaced them with 3 good tight ends, 3 good ones, not anybody super elite, 3 good ones, and then they developed, they got great. They ran a scheme and a system that benefited, and Gronkowski ended up being one of those elite tight ends, right? So, with that being said, you fill the void by getting. If you have 3 good tight ends that can give you the production of George Kittle, why not do it? You can simply go into free agency and find some good tight ends and get that same production with multiple tight ends. What if you got 2 good tight ends that give you the production of 1? You're telling me you wouldn't trade George Kittle for Deshaun Watson when you can get 2 good tight ends for the same price as George Kittle and the same production? 2? Why would you not?
Yeah,
and you have a top 5
yeah.
quarterback who's going to make those 2 tight ends elevated? I mean, come on, man. It's a no-brainer. No player is irreplaceable for Deshaun Watson on this team. None.
Very good.
You tell me a player that will have the impact of Deshaun Watson on this team. A better one. Tell me a player. Does George Kittle's impact? He's hurt. He gets hurt pretty often. He misses some games. And the way he plays, his career's not going to last long. You got to think about the future. You cannot think about George Kittle catching the ball, dragging the Saints guys, or doing his thing when he gets a 1st down. I get it. I love George Kittle. I don't want to hear the words trade George Kittle. I don't. But for Deshaun Watson, if you're talking about only Kittle and some picks, I would. And I would hate it, but I would understand it and get over it fast. I would say, you know what? We have Deshaun. We have a player that can take us to the promised land, and we have him for 10 years at least. You know what I mean? You're not going to say that about a tight end who plays the way George Kittle plays. In 10 years, let's see where he's at versus Deshaun Watson. You tell me who's going to have a bigger impact for their team. George Kittle gets hurt now. What do you think he's going to be like in the next 5 years, let alone 10? You guys got to think, man. Like, think about the team and not the player. This is why a lot of fans in general have emotion outbursts because they're so attached to a player. They got to understand this is a business first.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not, the players are not attached to the team. The business is attached to the team. Hell, Tom Brady's not retiring as a New England Patriot. What make you think George Kittle's irreplaceable?
Yeah. I mean, Joe Montana went to Kansas City. You got all
Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice went to the Raiders. Yeah, you got players that get moved. You know, you made a very valid point. Again, I want to agree with you. You don't want to get rid of a caliber player like Kittle. You don't. You want to potentially keep Kittle, bring in Deshaun to work with Kittle. But if that's something that they want, for example, I'd rather have Deshaun Watson and Ross Dwally than Jimmy Garoppolo and Kittle, because Watson will get more out of Ross Dwally than Jimmy can ever get out of George Kittle. Now, ideally, will be to keep both of them. Of course, bring in Watson and just keep George Kittle. But for sake of argument, if the Texans want a player and they choose George Kittle, and you get the ability to bring in a caliber quarterback, top 5 in Deshaun Watson, you're right. You got to make that decision not based as a player, as a fan. You got to look at the business side of it. You're right, Florida Mike. A lot of Niner fans get attached to players individually. They have their jerseys and they're emotionally attached. And no way am I giving up Kittle. No way am I giving up Bosa. There's no way I'm giving up Fred Warner. If the Texans wanted just one player in capital, any of those players can be expendable for a top-tier quarterback of Deshaun Watson that you can win multiple championships years to come. And that's a no-brainer. I know a lot of Niner fans, that, especially those that want to get rid of Buckner, that still think the Niners made a mistake in getting rid of Buckner. Now, people don't realize, and I want to make sure that this is clear, the Niners did not get rid of Buckner. Buckner wanted more money in his agent. The Niners did not comply to that. They're like, listen, you're not Aaron Donald. We're not going to pay you Aaron Donald money. We want you to stay, but the Niners had a bracket of what they were going to pay him. He wanted more money, so they moved on from him. It wasn't that the Niners didn't want DeForest. They were just not going to pay that ransom for a player of his caliber. As good as he is, and as good as he did for us, he was not worth the money that the Colts gave him. We got Javon Kinlaw, which I believe in a year or two will be great for us. He showed great signs. And like Mike said earlier, we have the most cap money in the West. Why? Because John Lynch did not allow his fear of losing Buckner and pay him what his agent wanted. And that's a decision that I like John made. It's a tough decision, especially when you give a fan favorite player like Buckner. A lot of fans are going to get pissed, but these are fans that look at it not as a business standpoint, Mike. They look at it as an emotional standpoint. Oh, that's Buckner. That's my favorite player. Hey, players come and go. You gotta do what's best for the team. And John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan did what was best for the team based on what Buckner wanted. And a lot of people said, well, how could they sign Aaron Armstead, which is not a bear, and he is not as good as a player as of Buckner, but he was willing to get paid less, and he can be just as productive. So I like what they did, Mike. I like that they did not give in to DeForest Buckner and pay him that money. He wanted them because they offered him a contract in 2018, and he turned it down. So, um, Niner fans need to realize you got to get your emotions. I'm the biggest cheerleader, but I also realize as much as I like players, what is best for the San Francisco 49ers going forward? I love Kittle. George Kittle is the best, arguably the best tight end right now, if not the second best, for those that want to argue that Kelsey's number one, regardless. But if you have the opportunity to bring in a caliber quarterback like Deshaun Watson, that Boston Hayden puts it all the time, they can move the needle. You have to make that choice to give up a player, and you can't sit there and go, well, "I don't want to give up George Kittle." Hey, do whatever it takes. If they want just one player, take whoever you want. Bosa, Warner, Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, wherever it is. I want Deshaun Watson. Preferably more, I'd rather give more capital and keep our players. But fans just need to stop being attached to players, Mike. They're too attached. They have their fan favorites. Like, a lot of I seen a lot of Niner fans back in the day when Joe Montana left to the Kansas City Chiefs. They left and became Kansas City Chiefs fans. And I'm like, as much as I love Joe Montana, I support the red and gold. See, I have the SF right here on my hand. I don't have Joe Montana, Steve Young, Jerry Rice on here. I have the SF of the Niners. Sometimes I don't like decisions the Niners make, but I'm always going to support my team no matter what. I'll criticize when they make some bad decisions, but so far what I've seen, what John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan has done, Mike, they're building this team the right way. And if we can I don't mind rolling with Jimmy G, because we do need to fill holes on our team. But like you said, if they ask for 4 number ones, 2 number twos for Deshaun Watson, no players, why not? You're getting a hell of a player, and even though as good as number ones are, they're not always guaranteed. Look at Solomon Thomas, right? 3rd overall. How did he plan out?
Reuben Foster. How did he plan out? You know what you're getting in a player like Deshaun Watson. A lot of people want to hate the Rams for what they're doing. And in the long run, they're gonna pay not having number ones. But when they bring in players, they know who they're bringing in to help out the team. That's why they've been in the playoffs the last 3 out of the 4 times they've been in the playoffs, 1 Super Bowl appearance. Now, it's going to catch up to them eventually, but they know who they're bringing in. I'm not opposed to giving first rounders all the time, but for a player like Deshaun Watson, absolutely. Not for Aaron Rodgers, not for Tom Brady, but for a 25-year-old, Mike, right? 25? Stud. Yeah.
Quarterback that you can have on your team for the next 10 to 15 years. If that opportunity is there, you'd be crazy not to jump on it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this too. The window with these guys that everyone says they want to keep is small. When we say things like, "I don't want to, come out here and do this. I don't want this guy to go." Well, what you're saying is, I want to keep what we have, play it safe, and build on, and hope that we get back to the Super Bowl. Well, granted, we have a complete team with this roster, but it's a small window. As you can see, we had our chance to win with Garoppolo and company last year. We didn't get it done. This year, we hope to come back and achieve it. But the injury bug kicked our butts. Next season, we're losing players now. We can't afford. So you have a shorter window when you try to play it safe like that. I
Yep.
get it. You build up the team board, make them complete. That's true. But you have a shorter window because those guys, by the time you take to build it up and they get to that point, their contracts are up in like a year or two. So if you're going to play it safe and be conservative and build up and brick by brick, trust the process, then you got to speed that process up and go for what you know. Let me say this. How many teams right now in the league outside of Green Bay, Tampa Bay are sold on their quarterback to where they would not trade for Deshaun Watson if they had an opportunity? I guarantee you 90% of the league will take Deshaun Watson. I guarantee you the Cleveland Browns will get rid of their quarterback and say, let's get Watson in Cleveland. I
Yep.
guarantee you the Colts will say the same thing. Every team outside of Tampa Bay, maybe Buffalo, hell, I don't know. Buffalo might consider it, but Buffalo, Tampa Bay, and Green Bay are three solidified teams with their quarterbacks. And the Chiefs, obviously. And the Chiefs. Outside of those four, you tell me, and ironically, those four teams are the final four of the playoffs. So everybody outside of those four teams, I don't think they're sold on their quarterback like that. Baltimore is debatable, but everyone else, nah. 90% of the league would trade their starting quarterback right now for Deshaun Watson. So that should tell you something.
Exactly. Exactly. Real quick, one of the viewers, Tom said, if we decide to roll with Jimmy
Mm-hmm.
and we keep Jimmy, we definitely need a backup to back him up because we definitely cannot roll. I don't. Mullins ain't going to be back in the team. CJ, I don't want him back on the team, but he might be back. Mullins won't be. Um, Ideally, we've spoken this in the past in the past podcast about maybe bringing a Ryan Fitzpatrick as a backup to Jimmy, uh, and I would like that. But we definitely gonna if we do draft a quarterback and we decide to stay with Jimmy, it'll be a quarterback to back up Jimmy and develop going forward. If we don't take a high pick quarterback, that's if we roll with Jimmy. But I understand that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are doing everything they can to see if they can upgrade at the position. Um, you always want to upgrade. I don't care what position it is, Mike. You always want to look at upgrading the position no matter what. I heard Eric Davis, the player, not our boy, say that when he was with the Niners, the corner, and they had Steve Young and Joe Montana, the Niners were looking to upgrade at quarterback. Teams are going to try always to look to upgrade, and players should not get in their feelings. Like Jimmy should not get in his feelings. Jimmy should know, and he is aware that he's a professional, that, hey, the Niners are always going to look every position to upgrade. And if they can do it, they will. And if they don't, they don't. I've been hearing a lot, and we'll be ending the show soon. I've been hearing a lot of people say, "Well, what about Jimmy? His hurts are, his feelings are hurt. This is the second year the Niners have been looking at quarterbacks. What about if Jimmy doesn't want to come back? Listen, where is he going to go? Where is he going to go? He's a professional. He knows the Niners are looking to upgrade. Any team will look to upgrade whatever position they have. Jimmy's going to play, if not to play for future years with the Niners, he's definitely going to try to play to addition for a new team come 2022. So all you Niner fans that think, well, Niners are talking about this quarterback, talking about that quarterback, Jimmy's not going to play. He will play. There you know where Jimmy's going to go. He'll play for the Niners, whether he likes it or not. The reality is every team always looks to upgrade at every position. What's your thoughts on that, Mike, as we come to a close? We hit an hour on this Friday night show.
Well, like I said earlier, I mean, you don't win Super Bowls without being better. Every year, every team is getting better in some category. The most complete team that I saw that we had was last year. And that's why we went to the Super Bowl. We had a complete team. But if you have a complete team, you got to keep in mind it takes a while to build that team up. So all those impact guys that you have, and then the new additions that you bring on to that team, then by the time they perform, the window is so small. It's literally less than two. It's like a 2 3 year window. Those guys are gone just as quick as you build it up. They're going to be gone even faster. So my thing is this: we're in an era right now where dynasties are a lot harder to come by. Yes, you can build through the draft. Yes, you can do what New England did and not overpay people and give up that, big time, big brand name player and replace them with two or three productive players. Yes, you can do that. However, we're in a situation where we can get a top five QB. I'm not worried about the rebuild. The rebuild will not be a long process when you have a quarterback that can hide all of those weaknesses damn near. All you have to do is just get in a play here, a player there from free agency more than likely, and go for it. So I want a long window. I want to be aggressive. Let me ask you this. What will the NFC West say if we get Deshaun Watson? Do you think that they're going to have the same perception of the 49ers with Garoppolo or Deshaun Watson? What do you think the reaction will be? I believe in my heart when we get Deshaun Watson, we will have a more of a threat to compete to win the NFC for years to come. I don't know that we have that with Garoppolo.
Well,
I don't know.
we'll definitely go from having the least quarterback to, if not if the second best quarterback, if not the best quarterback in the West, definitely with getting Deshaun Watson, and improve. I mean, he will just by himself, he will improve our offensive tremendously. And then with the genius of Kyle Shanahan utilizing him, I can't imagine what it would be to see how it would look to have Deshaun Watson on the team. Um, I wish we would have drafted him and we wouldn't have been talking none of this here at all. But it is what it is. We didn't. We'll see what happens. But I would love him. I mean, I'm willing to roll with Jimmy G at the end of the day. Personally, the only quarterback that I would want to bring in, non Jimmy G, would be Watson. At this point, I don't want to hear no what's his name, crab legs. I don't want to hear no Derek Carr crazy rumors. I don't want to hear no Wentz from Philly. The only quarterback that I would love to bring in other than Jimmy would be Deshaun Watson. What's your final thoughts, Mike? And then we'll call it a night because we are past our hour.
My final thoughts is whatever we do, Niner fans, don't overreact.
Come
If
on now.
if if we don't have valid reasons to, if we for some reason keep Jimmy Garoppolo, that's not an overreaction. It's okay to have a quarter. If Jimmy Garoppolo is the worst we can do, I'm okay with that because we've seen worse than Garoppolo. We've seen Nick Mullins for goodness sake.
Yeah.
So we've seen worse. My thing is let's try to get the best while we have an opportunity. I hope that our coaches and management team, staff, everybody comes together and find a way to get Watson here. And I hope Watson is interested in coming here. And if he is, we have a shot. And I don't see how he's going to make our team worse. That
Oh
I
no.
don't. I don't. That's why I'm not worried about it. I don't care if we lose Nick Bosa on defense or we don't have enough for the secondary. So what? We don't have to have all that this year, but we have to have a top five quarterback. And if we keep our offense, I believe that offense will make up for it so much. With Kyle Shanahan's mastermind and the best tight end in football, with one of the best quarterbacks in the game, you pair them three up, dude. I don't see a lot of, and we got a run game that a lot of people are forgetting about. Think about how you going to defend that, you know?
Yep.
And he can. We know what Washington can do. I don't need to go over that. So
Yeah.
I am all
Anybody
about
who's
getting
watched
Deshaun
Watson,
Watson here.
everybody knows what kind of player he is in college, what he's done
Yeah,
with the Texans.
I would love to see Watson and George Kittle together with Kyle Shanahan. That would be a treat with Raheem Mostert running the ball. Oh man, I would love that.
Yeah, me too. If we keep all the offensive players that we have right now with the addition of Watson, even if we lose the caliber of player of Fred Warner or Nick Bosa on our defense, that offense will be strong and that offense will score points. And oh man, I can't imagine the points that we will put and the nightmares that Kyle Shanahan and Deshaun Watson would bring to opposing defensive coordinators each week in and week out facing the Niners. But with that said, Mike, it's been a great show. It's been fun. It is Friday. The weekend's here. Super Bowl Sunday is on Sunday. May the best team win. For those that are going to watch it, enjoy it. For those that are not going to watch it, well, watch the commercials at least. But I wish everybody to have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the weekend with your friends and family the best you can. Mike, it's always a pleasure having you here, co-host this podcast, having the Boston Hater in the comments. We were not able to have Eric tonight. He was spending some time with family, and that's always important. So, with that said, Mike, always an honor and pleasure teaming up with you. You're the best teammate that I possibly can have on this podcast. You are amazing. Boston Hater, awesome. Everyone here tonight that is participating in the comments, we appreciate you. Make sure you smash and like this live and share with all your friends and family. Until Monday, have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you at 7 p.m. Monday night. Good night, Mike. Good night, everyone, and have a blessed weekend. Peace.